In this box right here, I have the new Aipas M1 Pro. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to put it together. So let's get into it. Let's go ahead and start by getting this box open. Now it does have staples here on the top, and all you're going to do is just go to a corner and just pull up. It will come apart, and now you have access to the rest of the bike. And this is what it will look like when you get inside of it. Now we have to get the bike out of the box so that we can get rid of stuff like this and figure out what all needs to be put together. So we have a couple of options. If you're strong enough, you can just pick it up and lift it out of the box. But really, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut open this box so that way you have easy access to the bike. You can use a pair of scissors or something like that that is sharp, maybe a knife. But me, I just end up using my hand. There we go. The next step is to have your furry friend help you cut everything away from this bike and remove the packing material. I'm just gonna jump forward fast this part so we can get straight into the assembly. This is everything that comes in the box. You're gonna get your front tire, your front fender. It comes with a phone holder and a lock. These are your pedals. This is your manual, some zip ties. This is your front reflector. This little dot, I'll show you where that goes later. This is your owner's manual. You get a toolkit, a rear rack, your charger, and a seat, and of course, the bike. The first thing we want to do is find this blue zip tie. We want to release the battery keys, and this way we can remove the battery so it can charge while we are assembling the bike. Let's go ahead and cut these off as well. To remove the battery, we're going to put the key in, we're going to turn it forward. It's going to pop it out just a little bit. Then there is this tab right here, and we're just going to turn it to the side, and it will release the battery. Let's pull our keys out so they don't get in the way. Let's go ahead, plug in the battery to the charger, put the cord into the charger itself, and then let's plug it in. When it is charging, this light will be red, and then when the battery is fully charged, this light turns to green. The first thing we need to do is get this stem facing towards the front, and to do that, you're going to pick the Allen wrench that works. We are going to loosen up these bolts right here. There are two of them. You have one at the bottom, one at the top facing the other direction, and then we can try to turn it. And if it is not ready to turn, which this one does, but you can loosen this top up just a little bit to make it easier for you to face towards the front. Then we're going to tighten this up and our two side bolts. Now we're going to remove this bracket so we can attach our handlebars, and the Allen wrench that you used for your side over here is the same one you're going to use to remove this bracket. Make sure you keep the bolts and bracket close to you because we'll be needing this in just a second. Now we're going to grab our handlebars and we're going to rotate them until you see where this shifter and these brake levers are facing towards the front of the bike. And then we're just going to place our handlebars right there in the middle where these little grooves are. And we're going to start to attach the bracket and reinstall it. What I do is I put one in up here just a little bit, and then I put one down here at the bottom, and that will at least hold the handlebars in place so I can add the other bolts. Once I get all four bolts in, I start to tighten them up in a certain pattern. I'm going to go from here to here to here and then to here. This way we get it level on the amount of tightness for the handlebars. We're going to tighten it up just a little bit, but not all of the way. I want to get an idea about how I'm going to want these handlebars, and I think like right there, and retighten it. Since we are working on the front, you're going to want to attach your display. What we want to do is grab our smallest Allen key, and that is what we'll need to remove these bolts so that we can open this up. Now that we have these off, we're just going to clamp it just like this, and let's reattach the bolts. I want to leave it semi-loose so that way we can move it around because I'm about to turn the bike upside down and I don't want to damage the display. Let's go ahead and install our seat post, and this way we can turn the bike upside down and rest it on the seat. Now we want to protect the bike. So what I did was I went back into the packing material, found this covered the display, and this covered the derailleur. They're about the same size. I'm gonna put them on the ground. We're gonna turn the bike over, rest our handlebars on this, and then the bike is sitting on the seat. There we go. Before we can put our front wheel on, we need to remove this. This was here just for packing. Grab your number 12 wrench, and we're going to loosen these nuts up here on the inside. When you do that, it should just come right on out. Come over to your front wheel. You're going to want to remove this cover. Guys, I just spent the last 5 minutes trying to pry this thing off. You should just be able to pull it off, but if you can't, you're gonna have to take a screwdriver and get in there and loosen it up so that it'll come off. You will also have this protector right here on the other side, this little sleeve, and it should just come off. Yeah, so you need to remove both of those. Now we need to go ahead and remove the nut and the washer from each side. Now we're going to install the tire. You want to make sure that the rotor is on your left-hand side, and we're just going to lift it up, slide the rotor in between the brake pads, and drop it down into the fork. Let me show you this from a different angle. Right there are your brake pads. Put that rotor right in there in between it, and then line it up with the holes on your fork. We're going to take the nut that we took off and this washer. If you can see this washer, it has a little tab and there is a hole right here. So we want to position the tab to where it goes inside the hole, and then we're going to add our nuts. Do the same thing to the other side. Grab your number 15 wrench and we're going to tighten it up by going clockwise. We will do the same thing to the other side. We are going to put the front fender on and headlight, but to do that, we must first remove this bolt. You're going to grab your number 10, you're going to put it back there, and then you're going to grab your second largest Allen wrench, and you're just going to remove this bolt. Now remember, you do have a big washer here on the front and a smaller one on the back. We're also going to remove the bolt here down on the fork. You're going to have this same bolt on both sides, and we're going to use the same Allen wrench that we just used to take the one off the front. Make sure you do this to both sides. Our next step is to take the fender, and the fender itself is going to attach on the back, and then the headlight is going to attach on the front. With your fender sitting there, grab your bolt, make sure you have your big washer and your headlight, and then we're going to put it here and then run it through this top bracket. Grab your other smaller washer and nut, and you might have to fumble with it for a bit, but you'll get it. And then you're just going to put it through the attachment and then just kind of put the washer on and hand tighten the nut to make sure it doesn't come undone. Now, you don't have to worry about your fender or light falling off. Grab the side arms of the fender here, and we're going to use our bolt and washer, and we're going to attach them on each side. When attaching your arm on the brake side, make sure that the cable is going behind the arm. Grab your number 10 wrench, and we are going to put it back onto the bolt. I like to lift the fender up to put it farther away from the tire. We're going to use to hold that there, and then we're going to use our Allen wrench here. We're going to start to tighten it up until it gets tight enough to where I can move this light and it stays. Now we can adjust our headlight and double check to ensure these side arms are tight. Let's move on to the pedals. On this crank, you will see it has an R, that means right. It also shows you which way to attach the pedal. Your pedals are going to have an R and an L on them, so we're just going to remove these decals and attach each side at a time. Grab your number 15 wrench, We're just going to place it on there and then start to spin. You might have to adjust the pedals a couple of times to get it to sit correctly. But then once you do, you feel it go right on in. Make sure it is nice and snug. And do the same thing to the other side. We need to attach the fender. It is loose. You have these arms here on each side. This arm is going to attach right here, and then this one is going to attach right here. What I like to do is I like to remove all of the bolts first, and I'll do this to both sides. Grab your washer and your bolt. You want to make sure those are connected, and then we're just going to hand tighten into this hole here and here. And then we're going to repeat this process on the other side. I just want them to be able to move, but I want them to be secure. Once everything is attached, go ahead and tighten them down and make sure they are snug. Your bike will come with a rear rack, and if you haven't pulled these little tabs off here yet, go ahead and do that so we have access to the holes. This is how it's going to go on. It's going to attach here and right here. Make sure that your tail light is facing towards the rear. Just as we did with the rear fender, I'm going to remove all 4 bolts. The 2 on this side and the 2 on the other. Now we're going to line up the rack. And for this, I do the front 2 bolts first. I do it on this side and on the other. And we're just going to hand tighten them so that the rack stays. And now we do the same to the rear part of the rack. Now that everything is hand tightened, well, we're just going to go ahead and tighten up the 4 bolts. I turned this bike around so you guys can see everything right here. There are some zip ties attached to the back of this rack. And so you want to put your wire through that small zip tie right there. And then you want to route this one through the other zip tie. And then we want to connect them right here. You will see an arrow right here and an arrow right there. And we just match up the 2 arrows and push them together. Now you can start to tighten those zip ties and start working on your cable management. They do include more zip ties in the packaging so that you can tighten everything up and hide it as best as you can. You also want to prevent it from going into the tires. So we're just going to tighten it up down here. Next, we want to air up the tires. These Chaoyang tires have a max PSI of 20 pounds. When you get the bike, it's going to have 10 pounds of air in it. For me, since this is a full suspension bike, well, I'm going to go ahead and inflate it to 20 pounds. Now we are down to making the final adjustments. Let's go ahead and bring that display back up to the front, and then I'm going to tighten it down just enough so that I can move it if I need to, because I'll know how to set up everything once I take it for its first ride. I do the same thing with the control pad. I'm going to remove these decals and this protective screen, which this is like the most satisfying part. Now you want to sit on the bike, and this is where you want to make sure, and you want to take a look to see if the handlebars and the stem line up with the tire. If not, we're going to turn it just a little bit. There we go. And now we're going to finish tightening these 2 bolts and these 4 bolts right here. Remember that little black dot? Well, it goes right there. Once your battery is charged, just make sure that the red button is here towards the top. Put it down here in the bottom, slam it in there, grab it with both hands and click it into place. Behind this flap right here is where you can charge the battery while it's on the bike, and this turns on your battery and turns it off. You will need to make sure that the battery is clicked this way for the bike to turn on. Well, we got it together, and I'm proud of you because together we got this thing ready to get out on the road. And until I see you again, enjoy the ride.